Hey guys, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Political Lens monologue. Tonight we shine a light on a world most people never see, the hidden industry of private intelligence and digital forensics in missing persons cases. When families feel the system has gone silent, many turn to private investigators to keep searching. This is a story of how private firms operate, what they really do, and why they are so expensive, and the bigger question we all must face is, has justice become something you can only get if you can afford it? Every year, over 600,000 people are reported missing in the United States. That is not just a statistic, it is mothers, fathers, children, and siblings and friends whose lives are turned upside down in an instant. Families expect the system to act fast and follow every lead and use every resource available. But for too many families, the first few days are the most intense, and then the silence begins. Now, law enforcement has limitations and resources that are endless in caseloads and competing priorities. Some cases get the national attention, many do not. And that's when families start asking a heartbreaking question: do we have to find help somewhere else? That somewhere else is in the world of private intelligence firms. These are licensed private investigators and former detectives. They could be cyber analysts, digital forensic experts, drone operators. These are licensed private investigators. I'm sorry, I just read that. Canine, they are also canine search teams like OSCENT specialists and behavioral analysts. They are not part of the government, but they are hired directly by the family, and their mission is singular: find the answers. Private investigators often begin where the traditional investigations have stalled. They rebuild the missing person's last known digital footprint, their social media activity, text messages, deleted messages, rideshare records, financial activities, you name it, online searches and location history, and many more. And in today's world, most people leave behind the digital clues they don't even realize that exist. According to Cellbright's 2026 Industry Trends report, 97% of the investigators say smartphones are the number one source of digital evidence in investigations. 95% say that the digital evidence increases the solvability. That means missing persons cases today are often solved less by footprints in the woods and more by footprints in the cloud. And the private firms, they use powerful tools to dig deeper. They analyze deleted social media accounts and recover cloud backups. They trace burner phones and review tower pings, examine dating app activity, track online behavior, and they map geolocation patterns. They look at what changed, what stopped, and who was the last person to make contact. They also study behavior, who like who suddenly deleted their accounts, who stopped showing up to work, who withdrew money or sold belongings, as well as who changed their routine. The behavioral analysis helps the investigators understand whether someone is voluntarily taken or was taken forcefully. Many firms deploy the resources and police departments may not have access to: thermal drones, infrared imaging, K9 teams, search and rescue grids, and independent surveillance sweeps. They review the traffic cameras, private security footage, and overlook leads that were never fully explored. Witnesses also have are re-interviewed and are is I'm sorry. The witnesses, they get re-interviewed, and that's one of their biggest advantages. The people often speak more openly with the private investigators than with the police. due to intimidation, trauma, or whatnot, or just basically the distrust can keep the people silent until someone outside the system asks the right questions in the right way. And this is why families hire them, not because they want to replace law enforcement, but because they feel the system has stopped moving. Many believe their loved one's case is being deprioritized because the missing person is an adult, has a history of addiction, maybe mental illness, or a runaway, like previous runaway behavior. There are many that are also are suffering from homelessness or is assumed to be voluntarily missing, and that belief shatters the trust. The painful truth is this is not every missing person's case, and it doesn't mean that they all receive equal urgency. Race, economic status, age, their mental health, lifestyle, and media coverage all influence how quickly the cases are taken seriously. Families see it, they feel it, and when they do, they look for another way forward. But private investigations come at high costs. Experienced investigators charge hourly rates that can range anywhere from $70 to $125 per hour. Complex cases can cost thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. For many families, the only way to fund an investigation is through either a GoFundMe pages, community support, and fundraising events. Justice begins to look like a service available first to those who can afford it. There are also serious privacy and ethical concerns. Genetic genealogy and DNA databases have identified unknown remains and solved cold cases, but the experts warn that uploading DNA, intentionally or not, can expose the relatives who never consented, according to wired DNA drives, which help identify missing people, but it's a privacy nightmare. The digital investigations raise similar issues when the investigators access deleted data, cloud files, old accounts, location history, or private communications. Um, let's see here. The line between solving a crime and invading privacy becomes dangerously thin. The question becomes how much privacy should be sacrificed for closure. A, repu- a, rep, I'm sorry, a reputable investigator will never promise miracles. Professionals on investigator forums constantly say that there's no guarantees, only hard work and honest expectations. Fresh eyes, new strategies, and persistence can create breakthroughs. Sometimes the goal isn't prosecution, it's simply the truth of what happened. The families say they can handle painful answers better than living in permanent silence. Knowing whether a loved one is alive, deceased, or hidden or gone voluntarily brings a kind of closure that uncertainty can never give. And that is tonight's episode of the Unfiltered Political Lens Monologue. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.